Good morning, students. Today, from the chapter of economics, we are discussing about the topic factors that have enabled globalization. The first here given technology. Rapid improvement in technology has been one of the major factors that has been stimulated the globalization process. For instance, the past 50 years have seen several improvements in transportation technology. This has made much faster delivery of goods across long distances possible at lower costs. So, earlier days technology was not so advanced, so it the people faced much more difficulties to move the things or goods from one place to another. But last 50 years, as the technology has been improving, so it became easier for us to contact with one another, or to connect from one land to another. Even more remarkable have been the developments in information and communication technology. In that part, information and communication technology plays a very important role. In recent times, technology in the areas of telecommunication, computers, internet has been changing rapidly. Telecommunication facilities like telephone, telegraph, mobile phone, fax, etc. are used to contact one another around the world, to access information instantly and to communicate from remote areas. So if we compare with the earlier days, earlier people has to communicate with the letters or by sending people from one place to another. But because of the new information and communication technology like mobile phone, internet, fax, etc., instantly we can connect one another. This has been facilitated by satellite communication devices. As you would be aware, computers have now entered almost every field of activity. You might have also ventured into the amazing world of internet, where you can obtain and share information on almost anything you want to know. So this information and communication technology became advanced because of the satellite communication. And you know about internet, that how it became helpful to us to communicate to one people, or from one country to another. Internet also allows us to send instant electronic mail or email, and if we talk about voice mail also, we can do it, and that with negligible cost. Next is given here liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. So from the second paragraph I am doing here, tax on imports is an example of trade barrier. So whenever we are bringing goods from another country to our country, then we need to pay tax on imports, and that is trade barrier. Trade barrier means it is a restriction for business. It is called a barrier because some restrictions has been set up. Governments can use trade barriers to increase or decrease foreign trade, and to decide what kinds of goods and how much of each should come into the country. So why this tax on imports are imposed here, or why we are getting this tax barriers? Because the government can increase or decrease the number of goods, or which goods supposed to come or not, they can control. The Indian government after independence had put barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment. This was considered necessary to protect the producers within the country from foreign competition. So Indian government after independence put the trade barrier, because that time if only the foreign goods used to come to our country, then our home producers couldn't get their market. That's why trade barrier restrict the foreign goods to come to India, and during that time the Indian producers could make their production more. Industries were just coming up in 1950s and 60s, and competition from imports at the stage would not have allowed these industries to come up. And industries in our country came up during 1950s and 60s. If that during that time we used to bring the foreign goods, then our industries couldn't flourish. Thus, India allowed imports of only essential items. So India allowed, but it allowed the imports only about the essential items like machineries, fertilizers, petroleum, etc. Starting around 1991, some far-reaching changes in policy were made in India. The government decided that the time had come for Indian producers to compete with producers around the globe. But 1991, during that time, it made a change. Change in a way that Indian government decided that now Indian producers are ready to compete with other countries' producers. It felt that competition would improve the performance of producers within the country since they would have to improve their quality. This decision was supported by powerful international organizations. And during that time, the Indian government decided now Indian producers need to compete with others, not only in a matter of competition only, but to improve their quality much better than what they used to practice. Thus, barriers on foreign trade and foreign investment were removed to a large extent, and from 1991, foreign trade and foreign investment, whatever the barrier was imposed by the Indian government, that removed. This meant that goods could be imported and exported easily, and also foreign companies could set up their factories and offices here in our country. Removing barriers or restrictions set by the government is what is known as liberalization. So, trade barrier we discussed. Trade barrier means a restriction for import or export, and liberalization means relaxation on import and export, that is called liberalization. With liberalization of trade, business are allowed to make decisions freely about what they wish to import and export. And whenever liberalization imposed or started, now country or countries people can import or export the things what they want. The government imposes much less restrictions than before and is therefore said to be more liberal. And whenever government is giving less restrictions on import and export, then we can say the government became liberal in the matter of foreign goods and foreign business or investment. I think you understood the chapter. If there is any query, you can call me personally. I will explain again. Next topic, next day we are going to discuss World Trade Organization. Thank you.